How to correctly calculate overtime for tipped employees. Imagine working a long shift and wondering if you're getting paid correctly for those extra hours. When it comes to tipped employees, calculating overtime can seem tricky, but it's actually straightforward once you understand the rules. Let's break down how to do it step by step. First, you need to find the employee's regular rate of pay. For tipped workers, this includes both the direct cash wages paid by the employer and the tip credit the employer claims. The tip credit is the amount the employer can count from tips towards meeting the minimum wage. The federal minimum wage is $7.25 per hour, and the minimum cash wage for tipped employees is $2.13 per hour. The tip credit cannot be more than the difference between these two amounts or the actual tips received if they are less. Next, add the direct cash wage and the tip credit to get the regular rate of pay. For example, if a worker is paid $2.13 per hour in cash and the employer claims a tip credit of $5.12, the regular rate is $7.25 per hour. To find the overtime rate, multiply this regular rate by 1.5. Using the previous example, $7.25 times 1.5 equals $10.88 per hour. This is the rate the employer must pay for any hours worked over 40 in a week. Now, calculate the overtime pay by multiplying the overtime rate by the number of overtime hours worked. If the employee works 10 hours of overtime, multiply 10 hours by $10.88, which equals $100.80. It's important to remember that the employer can credit the actual tips received towards the overtime pay. So, if the employee's tips plus wages do not meet the required overtime rate, the employer must make up the difference. Also, the tip credit used during overtime must be the same as during regular hours. Employers must keep accurate records of hours worked, wages paid, and tips received to stay compliant. Some states have higher minimum wages or special rules for overtime, so always check local laws. Failing to calculate overtime correctly can lead to wage claims and penalties, so it's best to follow these steps carefully. In summary, find the regular rate by adding cash wages and tip credit, multiply that by 1.54 the overtime rate, and then ensure the total pay for overtime hours meets or exceeds that rate. If not, the employer needs to pay the difference. This way, tipped employees get the right pay for their extra hours, respecting wage and hour laws.